Good morning or evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster, could change your joy and laughter to tears and pain. It's that love in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hey, go on round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far.
Man, who knew this song would be more needed now than when he wrote it? I mean, like right now, more than ever. Yeah. Well, that was James Farr's pick. James Farr's joining me. Yeah, I'm putting him to work even more in election season because he is a seasoned journalist who actually pays attention to the facts. He writes for the LA Progressive, also has his own podcast called The Conversation Live. He's a filmmaker and a film festival producer. Good morning, James Farr.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm getting better. I've had a little rough week, but I'm getting better. Look, how are you?
I'm good. I come in peace. I come with love. I end every episode of The Conversation Live with agape when I sign off. And so,
Agape, which means peace, right?
it means unconditional, God's unconditional love.
God's unconditional love. I
Yeah.
went to that church for many years, and I don't even know what it is.
And
But I do think that, me and you like to fight because we don't agree on everything. But we do it in the spirit of good radio and making ourselves and our delegation smarter.
well, sometimes someone has to help other people feel right, and so sometimes I'll serve that role. Just because I have a biological big sister who kind of chiseled me up a little bit, and then you're my radio little big sister, and so I let you win a little bit, but most of the time I'm right, and half the time I'm never wrong.
Most of the time you're right, and half the time he's never. Okay, that's very Virgo. I'm not even going to mess with it. So Hurricane Milton is scary.
Yeah.
It is scary. I think you heard me say that if you need to be scared into voting yes on Prop 4, then go watch some of CNN's coverage. I mean, 3 million people without power, just heavy wind and rain, at least 4 people dead so far, tornadoes hitting before the center of the storm came in, and just devastating. One thing I don't understand, James, is why do all of the major networks send reporters there when officials just said to evacuate? I mean, in this case with Milton in particular, they said if you don't evacuate, you're going to die.
Well,
And then
that's their
Anderson
job,
Cooper
though.
decides to. I mean, I get that it's our job, but at what point are you A, doing something really dumb, and B, interfering with what?
Well, I mean, the authorities say clearly, and that goes for everyone, right? Leave, or we will not be able to help you, right?
Right.
So write your name, your phone number, your date of birth with a Sharpie,
your
right?
leg.
On your leg, on your arm, or something like that. But,
I would say write it on your stomach in case your limbs fly off. I
well,
mean, that's terrible, but that's what we're talking about here, and this is going to get more and more common.
I mean, but that is the job, no differently than having to go into a combat zone, or, perhaps like you and I are doing at times, is when you're in community or proximity with impacted families, right? Like the work is the work, right? And people count on us or people like us. I don't know if I'm signing up for hurricane type assignments, but they're doing a job, and I reached out to, and I think we need to keep, LA family, keep the Deanna and Andrew Joseph, the Joseph family. She's a board member with Black Lives Matter Grassroots. They're in Tampa. They're in that area. I've reached out to them, haven't heard back from them.
And their child, Andrew Joseph III, was killed as a result of actions by the sheriffs there. Yeah, I have family there too, believe it or not. But so what Ron DeSantis says is that he says first responders have been working all through the night to help people who are in distress. The storm is significant, but thankfully this is not the worst case scenario. And of course they say 4 dead now, but we don't know. You got to clean up the debris, dig everything out. But if it's not the worst case scenario, then fine. I think it's crazy, though, that Republicans are spreading rumors that FEMA's out of money because people who lose their homes or who are put out of their homes, even if they get them back later, are eligible for money to help them. And they have to apply to FEMA. But if they're listening to Ron DeSantis and all these people spreading misinformation, then they think that FEMA is out of money because they gave it all to illegal immigrants. That is not true. And so they're hurting their own constituents. Not only that, James, the Republicans are the ones who refuse to increase funding for FEMA. And the Republican Speaker of the House is the one that's refusing to call Congress back in to increase funding, even as we see the possibility for more of these severe storms.
Well, there's no consequence to lying when what is the primary focus is getting Donald Trump not reelected, but elected to another term, right? So they'll say anything. Trump will say anything, right? And it's unfortunate that people are misinformed, they're confused. But we've seen, we've been here before, right? This isn't anything. Our government is exceptionally good at going to war, right? They can mobilize thousands of troops, assets, resources into a region like no one else can. But when it comes time to responding to the American people in a disaster, it doesn't matter. It just baffles me, and it's really it hurt my heart to hear people, and what they're going through, and they are looking for the government to support them.
I think it's also interesting that DeSantis refuses to extend the voter registration deadline, even though they are definitely in a state of emergency in Florida. Why wouldn't you?
Because again, if their strategy or one of their strategies is to suppress people from voting, right? That may work in their favor. If they can keep some home, increase others, what is Elon Musk paying $47? I mean, they're pulling out all the stops to win.
Don't get me started on him. But okay, so this is crazy.
Shout out to the Tesla drivers out there. I wonder how they feel when they.
Yeah,
never mind.
There's
I didn't go. I'm sorry.
So many black Tesla drivers, and I'm not. Look, we love our cars. I'm not going to judge, but I am kind of judging because the guy's a racist. Anyway, whatever. You do you. The Tampa Bay Rays stadium is shredded. So they might think it's the worst case scenario. And Florida had to issue an emergency rule to prevent post-storm fraud by insurers, which is crazy. And it looks pretty bad to me. I'm glad it's not the worst case scenario. I guess we could have seen hundreds dead, and that kind of thing. But it's
Have
pretty
you ever
scary.
been in an area that's preparing for a hurricane before?
I've been in a hurricane, yeah.
You've been in a hurricane?
Yeah.
Oh, you bad.
No, maybe I should have taken it as a sign. It was on my honeymoon in Cancun.
Never mind. Never.
I mean, that's the truth. I went on a honeymoon. I went to Cancun, and we were trapped because there was a hurricane.
I mean, there's so many different things that we could.
Yeah. Just be glad you didn't have a hurricane on your honeymoon. That's all I can
We
say.
left before it came.
And
We're September anniversary, so it's hurricane season in the Caribbean. So.
and you're still married.
Yeah,
How many years later?
25 years later.
So get out before the hurricane. That's my
Get out
advice to
before
you.
the hurricane. But understand, storms don't last all day, but you will go through some.
And trouble don't last always.
You know what I'm saying? But no, I've been there. I've been in I was in Tampa 2 years ago in the fall, just before I forget the hurricane's name. And some people just don't seem to be bothered by it, right? Like they just, it's no big deal. But this was the first time it was supposed to have a direct hit on Hillsborough County. So I hope folks, heeded the warnings. And again, our hearts and we pray for those who are impacted and affected.
No doubt. And we pray for them and we vote not Republican so that we can get people who think it's a good idea to vote for aid when these type of situations happen. If we're going to pay taxes, put our money into a pot, which is what the entire U.S. budget is. Mm-hmm. That pot should be available to people who are in need in disasters. I mean, that's the whole point of government. Roads, disasters, relief, education, right? Fire. That's what we're supposed to be spending money. 800-920-1580. James Farr is here with me. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
Football is just a tool for me to reach other people, and that's something that my dad was just so strong about. My goal is to see these kids just investing in each other, investing in the community, investing in mankind. That's ultimately the only way the world would be a better place, for real.
Heroes of the Game, brought to you by Nationwide. Watch the full episode at cassiuslife.com/hero.
Febreze Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week, Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
This is James and Miles' attempt to turn the temperature down. We'll see how long that lasts.
Well, isn't that what President Biden asked us to do a couple of months ago, to turn down the temperature?
He didn't ask me.
He didn't ask you?
I suppose he did. But, you know, we were talking during News, Traffic, and Sports instead of listening like we should have been. And you say you're really worried about the outcome of the presidential. You really think Trump might win?
Well, what I've said from the very beginning is that I would be surprised if Vice President Kamala Harris did win, right? That
means Trump would win.
Well,
I know you're a West Abdullah voter, but the odds of them winning are slim and none.
We'll get to that. Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah have already won, but we can get to
True.
that.
I agree with that.
We can get to that
a
little bit later on.
I agree with that.
What I was saying is because we only have two choices.
But if they've already won, shouldn't they step down?
We can get to that on the other side. On the other side as well, because Dr. West has clearly said people can land where they may on their decision. But what I was saying is that, you know, I would be surprised because I don't necessarily have the confidence that the American public, in particular white women, were ready to elect Kamala Harris. You know, what we saw in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. That didn't mean that I'm saying I'm all for Trump winning, right? My concern.
No, I know you didn't say that.
My concern is I've talked to so many people, Dominique, as you do every day, and I'm really concerned that people are going to fall out over the results of the November election. I'm concerned that when you look at the amount of $1 billion Vice President Harris's campaign has raised and continues to raise money and continues to spend money, but the polls are still very close, right? It doesn't seem to be
very close, but showing her leading.
Yeah,
slightly.
I mean,
slightly.
2 points. Right?
Yeah, well.
Okay, that's not.
To have come into the race a month ago or something, whatever it is, 6 weeks ago.
She didn't come into the race. She was dropped into the race.
Into the race, right? Yeah. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
In a very short time.
Which I think is unfair to her.
Maybe, but she's gained. It is actually unfair to her, but in a very short time, she has gained a slight, advantage in polling and a big advantage in money.
I mean, if that's the only option we have, I would expect that she would have
performed. Well, it's never
the
only option. You got Jill Stein, you got West Abdullah, and a couple of other random people.
Well, I mean, she was the option for the party, right?
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, and so, of course, she's going to get the support. Of course, she's going to raise the money. I mean, I'm all for...
That's not an of course. That's not an of course. She's raising historic amounts of money.
At this...
Had they gotten someone that the people were less enthusiastic about, I don't think you would see the level.
Well, I don't think they would have put up their least favorite option, right? I mean, she's the best option for the circumstance.
A lot of people thought Gavin Newsom was white man, young, snappy.
And you and I,
but we don't know for sure.
You and I both know that if Gavin had ran or even attempted, or perhaps that was his agenda months ago, maybe a year ago, right? But for him to have been inserted over her, you would have been livid. I would have been livid that the black woman was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would have been the conversation. Gavin, I don't think he could have beaten Trump, right? But at least it would have probably played out differently with them debating and some of the other things. But, you know, I'm concerned because I'm just not confident that this joy, and we talked about this 2 months ago, what's going to happen in October, right? You know, I hear people... You know, man, they're coming with the same thing. Your vote for West Abdullah is a vote for Trump. You're being a spoiler, right? Instead of, I've been telling people, get on the phone and phone bank, right? If you can, go to some of these other areas. Go holler at the cats in the liquor store.
Well, a lot of people do feel that way, that a vote right now, every vote needs to go to defeating Donald Trump. Now, I will concede, which I've had this conversation with Dr. Melina Abdullah on more than one occasion. She feels that a chunk of their votes, a big chunk of their votes, are coming from people who wouldn't have voted anyway.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't have voted for Harris. They wouldn't have voted for Trump. And I have seen a few people that I know convert from Trump to West. I wish they would focus more on that, getting the disaffected Black and Latino men to come to West Abdullah and away from Trump. But what I mostly hear them doing is attacking Harris, which I don't love.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
why not attack Trump? That's who you're running against. Why are you attacking Harris? Why do you need to attack the black woman? What is positive about that?
That's a question for them, right?
It's a strategy question. I just don't agree with it.
I don't think you have to tear down the vice president in order to make your arguments or even raise the questions that you have, right? Just like Bill Whitaker did on 60 Minutes when he pressed her on, which was a question I asked early on in some of our conversations, and you said there was a double standard for black women.
Mm-hmm, there is. You don't think there is?
I don't disagree with you, right? But what I was saying then, and Bill Whitaker said on Monday night is, we're asking questions for clarity. Just because you say something doesn't mean that we're not allowed to ask how, why. Those, little basic journalism question: who, what, where, why, when, and how. Look,
no, I never said we're not allowed to. What I'm saying is strategically, in a moment in American history where we are quite literally trying to defeat fascism,
we are
a new Confederate party known as MAGA, where we are literally staving off an authoritarian government with the blueprint of Project 2025. If you are going to run as a third-party candidate, then attack Trump. Spend your time doing that, or spend your time recruiting those people who can be persuaded, the persuadables. There's a lot of black and Latino men that I believe could be swayed to West Abdullah. Do that.
That is
and
a question.
And to Jill Stein, I don't know what she. I don't know what she.
Yeah.
What.
That's a whole nother.
I mean, honestly, there's a Kendrick Lamar song I like to dedicate to her. Be humble.
I mean, you had
sit down.
You had a caller the other day,
Be humble.
and I heard the caller say
Sit down.
that if Trump wins, it's the fault of the West Abdullah ticket. And again, the least resource, underfunded campaign. How is it their fault, right? I mean, the blame needs to sit where it needs to sit. That's the Democratic
I'm not blaming
Party.
them.
No, I know you're not.
Strategically, a lot. You said, well, people are saying they're spoilers, and a lot of people are saying
You
that.
said it.
Well, I think Jill Stein is a spoiler because Dr. Melina Abdullah is my friend and colleague, and I admire her as an intellectual and as an activist. And because Dr. West is Dr. West, I don't know. I feel like there is value to having their viewpoint and perspective, their platform, kind of like what Bernie Sanders did for the Democratic Party in the past on the ticket. I don't see the value in a Jill Stein candidacy. That's why I say be humble.
Well, maybe Kennedy was a spoiler, right?
Kennedy,
I mean, his actions
for who? Trump?
Just to spoil the lot, right?
But whatever it is, my point is, I think the idea, Tavis says spoiler is a non-thing. I don't agree.
Well,
I think Ralph Nader was a spoiler that helped to ruin our country by helping to bring in Bush. I think that some candidates chip away at the margins enough to defeat Democratic candidates in key electoral states.
I think it's patriotic. I think that someone deciding to participate in electoral politics is one of the most patriotic things that you can do. That is as American as you can be, right? And so because people don't agree, to call them anything less than being a patriot or being involved or, now is the time for them to take a stand or have their voice heard. I think it's unfair, right? And it discourages other people from potentially participating in electoral politics.
Well, I just think the time to build a third party is all the time.
All the time. I agree.
All the time. And we need to do some serious work on that.
Well,
so that a third and a fourth and a fifth party so we can be more like Europe and have viable. It would be nice if we didn't have a winner-take-all system, too. So if you won a sizable chunk, you would have some representation in Congress as a result of that, or some kind of influence. But we don't. We have winner take all. And right now, like I said, I feel like the priority is giving, I'm not going to say defeating, because I think they're going to still move forward trying to do Project 2025 no matter who wins.
Right.
But I think that defeating fascism's blatant takeover of our government is my priority right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for another Trump term?
No. But come November 6th or whenever this thing is resolved, somewhere between third Tuesday and or whenever inauguration is in January.
Yeah, whenever they finish counting.
Right, finish counting or
right.
disputing or, whatever else ends up happening. I'll be unbothered, whichever way the results are. I understand the what's at stake, and I have no interest in living under another Trump presidency. Yeah. But for the most part, I won't be bothered by the results because I got to govern a family first.
I mean, it's not even the Trump presidency. It's the Project 2025 portfolio. It's the MAGA New Confederates. It's a whole movement getting another strong foothold in our country. To your point, though, it's interesting the backlash against Kamala Harris doing the Call Her Daddy podcast, which apparently is second only to Joe Rogan as the most popular podcast in the country. The host, her fans got mad at her for supposedly politicizing the podcast. And she actually apologized for having the vice president on the show. But the vice president reached a lot of folks with that. But it does beg the question, will those white women be ready to vote for a black woman for president? We shall see. Get your take on that when we come forward after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Ree Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. New York City is intensifying its crackdown on illegal lithium-ion batteries, which have started numerous fires in New York City in the last few years. Mayor Eric Adams' administration says new laws now allows the city to shut down retailers that repeatedly violate the city's regulations on the sale of uncertified batteries and e-bikes. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talked about the tension in the troubled region. It comes as Israel decided how to respond to last week's missile attack by Iran. The phone call was the first time President Biden and Netanyahu have spoken in 2 months. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers played like champions last night in San Diego. 8-0 win over the Padres to avoid elimination and set up an electric and decisive Game 5 Friday night at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers got home runs from Mookie Betts, Will Smith, and Gavin Lux. They committed no errors and used 8 relief pitchers to shut down the Padres offense. It was only the second time in Major League Baseball history that 8 pitchers combined to throw a 9-inning shutout. None of the 8 pitchers went more than 2 innings, and no one gave up more than 2 hits. Big props to Dodgers manager Dave Roberts for creating a plan to use his bullpen the entire game. Friday's winner will face the New York Mets in the National League Championship Series. Week 6 of the NFL kicks off tonight with the 49ers at Seattle. Seattle quarterback Geno Smith is the NFL's top passer with 293 yards per game. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Around here, we don't believe in victimhood. We believe in raising our voices, amplifying black voices in the climate conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
And that chill in the air means one thing. It's truck season!
Just 5 more minutes.
No no snoozing. You've got so much to do. So do it all in a Chevy Colorado or Silverado, including the HD or class-leading 440-mile range of the Silverado EV.
Wait, what? Are you talking to me?
Yes! Picture it. Work, play, hauling gear, off-roading. A Chevy truck can take whatever you can throw at it, including tailgating in an actual tailgate!
I mean, homecoming is just around the corner. Oh, and showing up in a new truck?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Get things done and look good doing it.
Okay, I'm up. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Without offering me a ride? That's cold.
It's Chevy truck season. Head to your local Chevy dealer and get 0% financing on all 2024 Silverado pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
0% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $27.78 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 9.3%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available at least in some of the offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/31/24.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
That's James Farr. He don't black down. He rides for the LA Progressive. Find him at laprogressive.com. He's a contributor with KBLA Talk 1580. And he's in studio live with me today. JamesFarrLive.com, right?
That's it.
And I have a website too, DominiqueDiPrima.com. And then, of course, there's KBLA1580.com. We got places for you to surf. So right before News, Traffic, and Sports, I was talking about this Call Her Daddy podcast, which this white woman, young white woman who hosts it, got a huge backlash for doing a 40-minute interview with Kamala Harris that some of her followers were calling propaganda because they apparently don't want any politics on the platform. She usually doesn't cover politics. Now, I'm a little conflicted whether or not that's a bunch of MAGA, bots and trolls running in to try to stop this woman, or whether it's really a backlash from these mostly white women that usually talk apparently raunchy conversations about sex and family.
It's not on my playlist.
Right.
Okay. So, but what I can imagine, I don't think it hurts the vice president, even with the backlash, even with the host issuing an apology. Folks who needed to hear the vice president's message that are, subscribers to this, what did you say, the second most popular podcast out there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to hurt her at all. Whoever needed to hear it needed to hear it. I imagine, I didn't listen to it. I'm not a subscriber. It said I imagine Harris was on brand and on message with the same things that she has been talking.
I mean, she's narrowly focused on women's issues because that's what the show's about.
Right. I mean, you know what I really would like to see Harris, and I know it's a long shot. I know it likely because of California, but you know, I'd like to see her sit down with someone like you, sit down with someone like a Tavis Smiley, right? Like, where I think that's the trust and the credibility that a lot of the voters and people who are unfamiliar with her, you know,
But we don't know if she is or she isn't. I mean, are you tracking every local interview? I don't know if she's
not.
done,
No, she's not. She's
done any local interview.
She hasn't done.
I mean, she has. It was funny because I think you know this. When she became vice president, the White House called me.
Okay.
When I was at a different radio station that's also black owned,
mm-hmm.
and said we'd like to have the vice president on your show.
Did she come on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost fell out. I was like, wait, White House calling? What? I'm not on their speed dial list. Trust and believe.
Right. I mean,
and to me, that was dope because it showed that she, you know, she wanted to support a black-owned media, another black woman broadcaster. It wasn't a long interview. I mean, she's the vice president,
Sure.
but she, you know.
Again, I imagine, right, had she not been dropped in and had been running much earlier, she would have made the rounds and I don't see KBLA as a local outfit, right? I mean, this Tavis' show is syndicated. You know, this show, you have callers calling from around the country and folks in the chat from around the world. And so, you know, I think it just would have benefited us all to hear her on the mic with folks that we listen to and trust, who we can count on are going to ask some real questions.
Yeah, well,
not Howard Stern.
I just think it's so funny that certain individuals, like the one I'm sitting across from, and some others in the media, particularly, well, let me not say particularly, that certain individuals are so obsessed with accountability for Harris before she's even elected. But I'm not hearing the same questions about any other candidate.
Trump is a liar. Trump does not need to be reelected. There's nothing to ask Trump and expect to get an honest answer. So, again, let's assume Harris does win, right? If this is going to be our president for the next 4 years, it's not unfair. It's not unreasonable. There's no extra on it.
I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm not saying it's unreasonable. I'm saying it's strategically dumb because we have to defeat fascism, and we've only got a month to do it.
Yeah, but
you got all day. If she wins, which is still a very long shot, then you got all 4 years to hold her accountable, march, protest, show up, petition, and all of that.
You know, but I don't think anyone is pressing Bill Whitaker at CBS for how are you going to pay for it? Speaking about, you know, her economic opportunity program. No one, you're not saying, you know, people in the media and, you know, I mean, it's a fair question, all right? How are you going to pay for it? It is that is a very bipartisan question.
But have you seen the new bipartisan analysis that shows Trump's plans more than doubly cost what Harris's plans cost? Nobody's asking him how he's paying for these tax cuts for the rich that are already under, already in effect. Well, let's go to the chat for a second. Paul Lee says she did Ricky Smiley, Up in Smoke podcast, and NABJ. Willie Frazier says, was she dropped in, or did Biden and all the black Democrats say Harris or else?
Yeah. I listened to the All the Smoke podcast, right? And, again, it really dispels this whole thing that she's not from Oakland or she's not kind of like the home girl. I hear it in her voice. I mean, I hear you, I hear Melina speak. It's just a base sense of ability about her when she's there.
I know she's from Oakland.
I know.
And I know she's black. I mean, but, you know, for folks who aren't paying attention, my godmother is Blanche Brown. Let me leave it there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's never been a question for me. But for me, again, it's hearing her on platforms with, you know, with all due respect to Matt Barnes and Step Jack, right? They're not journalists. I mean, that's cool. These were curious.
60 Minutes are journalists. Okay, let's move on. Because we're never going to satisfy the Virgos in the room until they grill
we need
Kamala
to bring
Harris
more
10,
Virgos in the room.
20, and 30 times more than any other candidate, more than Jill Stein, more than Dr. West, more than Trump. Only the black woman has to be subject to X-ray vision interviews.
Everyone who steps up gets questioned. You want me to call it? There's another Virgo
I don't see
in
it,
the
and
other
I don't
room.
hear it.
There's another Virgo
no,
here. You want me to call it?
He owns the radio station.
Okay, all right.
He's busy right now, but yeah, I wish we could get him in here. Then you two Virgos, we could all three box. No, I'm not saying. Look, Selena Ricks. Okay, you didn't answer the first question. Willie said, was she dropped in, or did Biden and all the black Democrats say Harris or else?
Was she? I think he answered this question. He answered this question.
You said she was dropped in.
Yes.
So you don't think it was Biden making a definitive endorsement of her, and then the black Democrats, particularly black women, say, try, FAFO?
No.
I do.
If
okay,
Biden,
we'll agree to disagree on that.
He should have dropped out. Well, first of all, remember, he said he wasn't running for re-election. He was only there to steady the ship.
Okay, but all that's not the question. The question is, was she dropped in, or did black women and Biden take a stand and say, you're not going to pass over her? Which is what I saw happen in real time.
She's the best choice for the party. That's not a question, right? But Biden should have backed up out of it sooner. He should have never been in it to begin with. He did not afford her the best opportunity to meet the American people and plead her case while she could take this country forward.
Okay. We are right now where we are right now.
We are.
That wasn't the
We're
question.
in trouble.
And I think so, too. That's why I need y'all to just stop all this extra side, this and that, and focus on defeating fascism.
We are.
Oh, I don't see that at all.
We want the same thing.
I haven't heard you say one good thing about Vice President Kamala Harris, and I have not heard you say one really bad thing about Trump other than that he's a liar.
He's a liar. He's evil. Do I believe Vice President Kamala Harris is qualified to do the job? Yes.
Okay, there. He said one good thing about her.
There you go.
And Friday Jones says black people have to hold whoever wins accountable. Reparations 101, Civics 101. Agreed. And I think we have to do a much better job of that than we have done in the past. Not just with Obama, but with all of them.
Yeah, but again, me taking your medicine and expecting to feel better, right? Like, that's what you want for this country.
What I want is accountability, and that doesn't make you feel better.
You want Harris to win. I believe.
Yeah, I do want her to win.
I believe it's for this kind of, like a lot of people, they want the first black woman to win. Cool. I'm with that.
But not any first black woman.
Well, we only got one. So
yeah, but if it was Condoleezza Rice, I would not be over here standing for her no matter how black she is.
We got what we got, and so, for hopefully what's in the best interest of the country. I hope your chosen candidate wins. The candidates I'm supporting have already won.
And okay, I'll find out why you say that. Plus, I got a little palate refresher for you. What we call some good news when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Black Women for Wellness and Stand LA are standing up against harmful oil drilling in South Los Angeles. Our Bad Neighbors campaign exposes the serious health risks of drilling in our neighborhoods. You've seen the billboards, posters, and coffee sleeves around South LA. Now join the movement to protect our health, our families, and our future. Visit bwwla.org/no-drilling to learn more and get involved. That's bwwla.org/no-drilling. Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
From the first day of kindergarten through the day they graduate high school, in California, 38% of students attend a public school that fails to meet minimum health standards. That's why we need Prop 2. Voting yes on Prop 2 will fund urgent repairs at local schools, protect kids from toxic mold, asbestos, and lead, ensure clean drinking water, and repair leaky ceilings and storm damage. yes on Prop 2 to fix what's actually broken. All funds go to local schools without raising taxes. You heard that right. So join the California NAACP nurses and teachers and vote yes on 2, because all our kids deserve a safe place to learn. Ad paid for by Yes on Prop 2, sponsored by Nonprofit Education, Labor and Business Associations. Ad committee's top funders: California Building Industry Association, Coalition for Adequate School Housing, California Teachers Association.
We've got a lot to talk about. Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
All right. We are definitely stirring the pot, and that is our job. James Farr writes for the LA Progressive. Terry says, this guy is a bad guest. He doesn't realize that we have to change the Supreme Court. That would help all of us that want justice. And as we speak, the Supreme Court is starting their new session. Well, last week they started it, where they're taking up all kinds of things that, will impact our future. You want to respond to Tari?
Well, I have no response to being a bad guest, but what I really
James is a good guest. He's just a pain in my neck.
What I will respond to is the redoing the Supreme Court is something that has been talked about for many years. So, to offer it like it's a novel, a new idea, that's not going to help us right now. That's not going to help the candidate you want to be elected, but it's noted.
You mean Kamala Harris?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Friday Jones says Cherie Peoples was all Harris, as was Myrtrice Richardson in the estate of Nina Simone. Nina Simone, I would argue that, and I don't think that it's fair to say Myrtrice Richardson was all Harris. But she says Harris gives, and so she receives, and she says West Abdullah 2024. To me, that's a good example of what I'm talking about. People that, for whatever their reasons, and Friday just listed hers, will never vote for Kamala Harris. Those are the people I would love to see the West Abdullah team focus on more. I think there's a lot of black men, a lot of Latino men, and black women who just can't get to Harris. Let's pull them away from Trump and over to West Abdullah. That's what I wish they would do.
Absolutely. And that's, I think one of the best ways that I can help you and your effort, right, with getting Vice President Harris elected to being president, is when I am in those conversations with folks who I know are leaning towards Trump and pushing as far away from Harris as they possibly can. The alternative is, have you listened or considered the platform of Dr. West and Abdullah? I'm looking further into the future. We need to get brothers who are disengaged or have never engaged in electoral politics and government to start somewhere.
Right. One of the things that gives me hope is that some of the black men that are endorsing Trump, like Kodak Black and people like that, do they really vote?
Do
they really vote, or do they just talk?
See, when I hear names like Kodak Black, 50 Cent, and
50, I believe he would vote. He seems like enough of a curmudgeon.
The red one,
Sexy Red.
Yeah.
We go together.
Is that what they
tell them we go together?
That's a non-factor for someone
I doubt she
me.
votes.
Right.
I don't think Sexy Red votes. I don't think Kodak Black votes. I do think 50 Cent probably there with his ballot.
But people are so misinformed, and it runs parallel to the Proposition 36 and the district attorney. I know that's not what we're
now we're
in this
state
space,
of California,
but that is it runs parallel to people hearing fear, misinformation, and disinformation. And I had a conversation with someone who very strongly, a sister who lives in this area, was my Uber driver, right? She's not supporting Harris. She's not supporting the Democrats. She feels that immigrants receive benefits that should be for working people here in America.
A lot of people feel that, but if you look at the reality, that's not what the numbers show. But
again,
it's an emotional issue like crime. Doesn't matter what statistics you show. If people think that, they're not going to move off of it.
And that's my point. It's an emotion, and it's her reality, right? You're not going to. And what her point was, she makes a little too much money in order to qualify for some of the other resources, social services and medical benefits and stuff. So that's her issue, right? And this is a sister. Now I believe it's a racist position, right? I don't think she's fully thought it through, but that's her reality.
Well, and I'm beginning to think that this anti-immigrant sentiment among black people in this country is based on the real truth that we are always the last priority for this country.
That's the bigger issue.
And I don't think it's fair that it's, I think there's a lot of misinformation about funding going to immigrants or something. But I do think there's a truth in the fact that we're last in line, even though we've saved this country not just at the ballot box, but on the battlefield time and time and time again. And that part is real. I said we were going to do a palate refresher. I don't know if we have time. We can squeeze it in. But to your point, I don't expect you to move off West Abdullah. And I do wish that Jill Stein would drop the heck out. And I wish that West Abdullah would target Trump voters more and move off of attacking the vice president at this moment in time.
Yeah, I just appreciate you not saying that if I'm not voting for Harris, I'm not a black man, right? Like,
why would I say that?
Well, because Biden told us that 4 years ago.
No, he said if you didn't vote for him.
Same thing.
It's not the same thing. It's absolutely not the same thing.
My bigger point is, Dominic, I appreciate some of Harris's supporters who embrace the perspective that's different, because the lecturing and the yelling and being told, that ain't going to work.
Spoken like someone who's been lectured and yelled at and told. But look, I will also say, and I've said this before, even though you don't agree with it, that there is a point to which we could say this is important to not Friday Jones, but the majority of black women in this country want to elect the first black woman president. Most of the black men listening have been given birth to by a black woman. Most of them.
Most of us.
Most of them have had a black woman do for you when she could barely do for herself. Had your back, ride or die. Cooked and cleaned and wiped your butt. So there is a point where you could just do us a solid.
Your son ever ask you a question after you've done all that? Like, Mama, why?
Okay, my child is a child. Well, not anymore, but
my point
they
is
were a child.
We're going to ask questions. That's all. And I think we want the same thing. right? We don't want a fascist country, right? We don't. We want the same thing, and I hope you get the outcome that you want.
Well, but I'm just pointing this out to you because there, certain black men that take certain positions. You should definitely be prepared for some backlash. Because we're gonna feel like we always have your back. Why can't you get our back just one time? Just one vote. That's all we ask for. Just one time.
We have your back, sister.
Okay.
Brothers have your back.
Show and prove, baby.
Brothers got your back. You know that. You know that right out here in these streets. I'm not worried about Washington D.C. Right? You walk out in these streets, brothers got Dominique back all day. I know we out of time.
Yeah, typically that does seem to be the case. Okay, well we only have a minute. We can't do the palate refresher. We'll save it for another day. Live to fight another day. I did think it was interesting that Trump said he won't run again if he loses. Do you believe him?
No.
I don't either.
Why would I start believing him now?
Well, that's true. So tell the folks how to follow you and all that, and you'll be back Monday to join me in the first hour of the show so we can go through the ballot, the local ballot together.
Yes. James Farr Live across all social platforms.
Yeah, we're going to start doing that more and more. When we have folks that have the capacity to do it. So me and Sherry will do a speed through the ballot on Friday at the first hour of the show, and me and James will do one on Monday, first hour of the show, and I'll keep you informed of where they're popping up from there. James Farr Live, Conversation Live, and I appreciate you always because you always have a robust point of view and facts to back it up, whether we agree or disagree. That's the main point. Show up with facts. Don't try to gaslight me. People said I was hard on Nathan Hochman because don't come in here and try to gaslight me. I'm going to try to fact check you in real time. Okay, but was I fact checking him in real time?
I don't have a problem with it. It's what needed to have happen, right?
I think I was fair.
You were absolutely fair.
I was fair, but you're not going to come in here and just say anything. This is not CBS. We're expecting, I don't see him, but we're expecting Carnell Nut. Oh, we are. He is here? Oh, he's on his way. Okay. Well, Nut Thomas will be here when we come forward, speaking of black men, on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Ree Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. New York City is intensifying its crackdown on illegal lithium-ion batteries, which have started numerous fires in New York City in the last few years. Mayor Eric Adams' administration says new laws now allows the city to shut down retailers that repeatedly violate the city's regulations on the sale of uncertified batteries and e-bikes. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talked about the tension in the troubled region. It comes as Israel decided how to respond to last week's. It was the first time President Biden and Netanyahu have spoken in 2 months. And that's the